Today we are going to have a look at Ravenbound. I constantly keep getting ads to Ravenbound. I keep hearing about this game, and today I want to have a look what this game is all about. So yeah, let's have a first look at the game. Kind of liked it how you can like transform into an animal.
Simply
like
looking out over its gorgeous vistas and up at its gnarly monster designs was enough to sell a curious dungeon diver like myself on Ravenbound. But as much as that first impression made me want to
like
love this
Ring?
roguelike, turbulence threw this bird far off course soon after taking flight. What starts as a promising action game eventually had me flying against a torrent of obscure and regressive systems, a flurry of frustratingly uncontrollable loot randomness, and a storm of very annoying bugs that quickly grounded any hopes I had for it.
Like when it comes to loot, and this is something I hate about a lot of modern games these days. And we have seen this also with like Diablo, Immortal for example. We see this constantly with like gacha games. We see this in Lost Ark. We see it so many games. So you sometimes have those kind of systems where if you finish a certain content, or let's say do like some sort of dungeon boss fight, you can get like random reward, right? But there are ways where if you actually invest money, and you do like some microtransactions, you get like more gear or better rewards. Like Diablo Immortal is one example for this. And I never really liked it. I thought this was very, very shit, the system that they made it where if you spend money, you get more gear. I hope there's no pay to win in Ravenbound, because I don't like pay to win at all.
As the Raven, a weapon made by the old imprisoned gods of the world of Vault, you'll possess a randomly generated character called a vessel on each new run. Every vessel has a different mix of mostly mediocre traits, weapon specialities, and even racial bonuses, but they'll all inherit your own persistent ability to soar across the sky as a magic bird.
That's cool.
You'll wander the vast and boring stretches of this open world's 5 admittedly beautiful regions, dropping in and enemy camps, killing everyone in sight, and collecting items as part of an aggravating card-based loot system until you're strong enough to slay the betrayer god who doomed this world. Combat isn't complex, but it can be fun. Successful hacking and slashing with any of the 5 weapon types comes down to mastering the satisfying dodge and parry systems, both of which give powerful combat buffs when executed precisely. Well-timed dodges can put you in a frenzied state that supercharges your attack speed, while perfect parries can knock enemies down. The rewards for getting good at—
That just reminds me of like Hogwarts Legacy. We also did like a playthrough to that, and if you like successfully block some attacks, you like stagger the enemy and stuff. And I kind of like this kind of combat where if you are doing like certain skills, they cause like additional effects. Like let's say you have some sort of magic, like some spell, that causes like let's say a root effect, but if someone is like rooted like an NPC, they also take like 15 or 20% more damage. Or if you successfully block, it staggers someone. Or like here, how you can get like some sort of rage mode if you collect enough, whatever that is there. And yeah, then you suddenly deal like massive damage. That's kind of cool. I love the way, by the way, the environment looks in this game. Like, I have to like really point this out. Like we see here some interesting ancient ruins in the background. And I was like earlier this like area with the forest, right? Where was this? This was here, right? Looks really, really nice actually. I love the way so far this game looks, like atmosphere wise.
Your attack speed, while perfect parries can knock enemies down. The rewards for getting good at these techniques are well worth the risks and are essential for taking down late game enemies and bosses. That said, there is so much about the systems that interface with combat that feels obtuse. Keywords tied to buffs, debuffs, and abilities can sometimes be straightforward, but others are less obvious and occasionally not even defined in the codex. After the 15 plus hours it took me to get my first clear, I still have no idea what a multi-strike is, or what the luck stat does.
So they don't explain it in game?
Enemies who are at least plentiful and come in all shapes and sizes have both standard and elite forms. The elites have modifiers denoted by a title, but again, it's not very clear what the difference between them is. Discovering new mechanics and abilities for yourself is a staple of the Souls-like genre.
Wow, that looks
actually cool. There's a line between nudging you to test your strength against mysterious opponents to reach an aha moment and being frustratingly opaque that Ravenbound does not walk well.
It's just like in Elden Ring, right? Like how you're constantly attempting to fight the boss and you die.
Region are tough tests of your item builds and endurance as they relentlessly attack with long combos, leaving very small windows for counterattack. They are sort of samey, but each one is a frantic back and forth fight.
It's an OP Nordic warrior.
Be fun when they aren't suffering from some of Ravenbound's most pernicious bugs, like one that doesn't track boss health accurately. This doesn't make the bosses unkillable, but it does make having any idea of your progress against them impossible.
Wow, that is actually cool. Did you guys see that? Like, so we have like one hand and shield, right? And then we fight a bit on the one hand and shield.
This doesn't make the bosses unkillable,
and then suddenly dual wield.
Make having any idea of your progress against them impossible.
So you can like in combat, like in middle of combat, switch like weapons. Is that how it is here? So I can have like a two-handed sword, for example, or like dual wield, and I switch to like a bow or something. It's actually magic in this game. I have not seen any magic yet. It would be nice to know if we can be also a caster.
Possible. That's also just one of many bugs plaguing Ravenbound. Audio tracks overlap with each other, or just cut out entirely. NPCs and shopkeepers occasionally vanish.
Yeah, I've had about a half
a dozen crashes, which are annoying even if the auto-saving is diligent enough that I never lost progress.
We're sorry, something went wrong.
None of these are game-breaking issues, but the sum of them does drag down the moments where I might otherwise be having fun.
Yeah.
Ravenbound uses collectible card game motifs to house its otherwise familiar systems in ways that are hit and miss. Everything you could potentially find or earn during a given run is a card in your deck, like the suit of armor that makes enemies bleed when you parry them. Every time you would gain one of these things, you draw your choice of one of 3 cards from the larger deck to see what it'll be, and then it sits in your hand until you spend a resource called mana to activate or equip it. I liked that this meant I could hold on to something that might be useful in the future, making finding new loot a little less all or nothing than some other roguelikes. There are at least a decent handful of ways to earn item draws mid-run.
Dear person.
Straight up buying them from vendors is the safest way, but it costs gold, which you'll need to earn by clearing camps full of monsters. Alternatively, the elite monsters in camps drop fragments, collecting 3 of which allows you to draw cards to add to your hand. These monsters are also often guarding treasure chests, which also contain some loot. That meant that I always felt like I had opportunities to take another spin of the wheel. I just wish I could better influence what was on it.
So a lot of RNG. Thing of evil.
I often chose not to spin that wheel at all thanks to the hatred mechanic. Whenever you open a chest covered in a red aura, a card on your next draw is replaced by one that automatically buffs every elite and boss monster in the region for the rest of your run. Every time you combine fragments, a bar in the bottom right corner fills up a little more. When one of those sections is filled up entirely, it will similarly turn one of your next card draws into a boss buff until you kill the boss of that particular region you're in.
Wait, then how do you progress if, like, let's say we do this, for example, right? So we say, okay, we want to take a risk, we go for this hatred mode thingy. And then we get, like, very shit items, and I have to fight a boss, and I can't clear this boss because the boss is now buffed, and I had a very bad drop. It's actually a way to, like, then grind your character with, like, decent mobs to get, like, better gear so you can clear this again. But even if so, it's probably going to take a long amount of time, so there's some kind of like risk and reward sort of thingy, right? Like you can have like maybe a super OP item for that, but if you fail, then you are kind of like longer stuck in one phase, right? Like one area.
These enemy buffs can really add up and make every draw more and more risky. Sometimes disproportionately.
So you don't want to draw until you
since
kill
there's
this
no way
one.
to guarantee that the next card you draw is useful after fighting increasingly harder enemies for it.
That sucks.
There is an early reprieve for this
then.
built into the main quest. When you first enter each of the 5 regions, a rift is marked on your map. Traveling across these beautiful forests, arid deserts, or dank marshes to get to them, these rifts present you with an opportunity to cleanse a handful of nearby chests of their hatred while scoring a good amount of mana in the process. Taking down these rifts' guardians and then plundering the newly cleaned treasure for free helps you get off to the races. But I found that if I didn't get a solid weapon, piece of armor, or key relic for a strong build out of this initial haul, then I was likely better off just re-rolling a new character than attempting to wing it for the next hour.
Yeah, this is the problem here with this game. So if the loot system is really that horrible, and you're at some point where everything around you gets like crazy strong, you still don't get good gear, then sometimes you're better off starting a new character, because then maybe you're more lucky on this one. You can advance faster and get to the same stage as your previous character was, but maybe you do like so much more damage, you have so much more tankability and stuff, and like your character's overall stronger. Yeah, they need to like fix this sort of. To me, like from how I'm seeing the game now, like how it's being shown to me, it looks kind of like incomplete in a way, right? Like they kind of like maybe rushed released it without like properly testing it or so, it seems. Like there's still so many like bugs around, like he said, like some vendors even vanish sometimes, right? Like game crashes. And like the loot system with the RNG and the cards is kind of like, it can get you even stuck where you can't progress anymore. And I don't think any RPG game or like action game or something should have this kind of situation where you cannot advance anymore because of luck or something. It's weird. Like I think it should be either like there should be like more grind options and less RNG options as well. Like if they get like at least like some sort of crafting system or something where you get like items that are maybe not as good as with like those drops, but they can come close to them in stats, just like a tiny bit behind. That could also fix a lot of problems if they ever introduce some sort of crafting system or so.
If you follow the main quest markers, you'll spend very little time in each region.
Just like a druid in WoW, right?
And fighting world
you can also transform to a bird.
Quests for each section, but that involves traveling to a lifeless city, talking to wooden NPCs.
There's like New World this area a bit,
some
right?
Version of killing a target with the added frills of a completely ignorable motivation from a throwaway character. As an open world game, you are free to explore on your own, but there
just like
isn't a huge reason to do so very thoroughly. As enticing as the well-designed ruins of old forts or mysterious mining caves are, there's often no prize in them worth the trouble that you couldn't also find just dropping in on any random camp on the surface. This is a hugely disappointing use of Ravenbound's beautiful, Scandinavian folklore-inspired environments.
I mean, the world is nice.
There is no part of Ravenbound that is absolutely bad. In fact, most of it is a good foundation for a fun roguelike.
What race is this?
Combat to its interesting setting and enemies. But so much of Ravenbound feels like it's either missing a key piece that would elevate it, or is just poorly executed, with frustratingly unpredictable loot or obnoxiously obtuse systems.
So it can't live up to games like Skyrim.
Bugs that take those issues from disappointing to outright annoying. There's certainly some fun to be had in Ravenbound, but it's hard to recommend leaving the nests to find it.
Mediocre, okay.
For more action, check out our reviews of Have a Nice Death or Resident Evil 4. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Here, right? Okay, that's fascinating. Because I keep getting, like, each time I go through, like, several, like, clips and videos, so I sometimes get, like, Ravenbound recommended and stuff. And I really want to have a look at this game, and today together we did, and this reminds me, like with New World, the same situation. Like they probably released the game way too early. Like if there's such issues with like the RNG is that horrible that like players get like stuck in content and they can no longer progress, that is not good game design in my opinion. Like you don't want to have this in a game where you can get like players, even though they play normally like everyone else, you get them stuck because they have so much bad luck or something. Like it feels that's so punishing to actually have bad luck in this game. Like if it's like a little harder, okay, no problem. But if it's like where you get like stuck and it's like that extreme, like mobs like 2-3 shot you and you can't do anything, I think that sucks. And I think like yeah, environment wise, like graphics and the way the game looks, it looks very beautiful. Like the zones, OMG, it looks nice. Like I love this kind of forest and just with the river area there with the lake or what it was in the background. With those runes, it looks really nice, those forests. Combat looks also pretty good there. I like how you can like freaking dodge and like slide on the ground to freaking avoid attacks. Boss fights looks cool. I love the dual wield attacks. They look very aggressive. I like that kind of play style. Would I give this game a try? Maybe. But it looks to me like they really need to patch this game. So yeah, have you played Ravenbound yet? Or what is your opinion on what you have seen? Like, do you like this game? Would you give it a shot? let me know in the comment section. And if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And to me, this game, it can definitely not keep up with Skyrim, and not with Elden Ring as well. But let's see, maybe they bring out some expansion or patch it, make things a bit better. But yeah, I would probably also like him, maybe give it a mediocre level. Like, not a horrible game, but not the best game. I will see you guys next time.